Okay, so the big question out there all over the internet is a lot of people worrying about when this bull cycle will end and we will start the new bear cycle and then Bitcoin drops a whole ton. So we're going to jump into that. We're going to look at Bitcoin, just Bitcoin today, no Mara stock, just because it's still the weekend and Bitcoin has been mostly flat. So everything I said in the previous video, it's still intact in my opinion on it. So there's no reason to repeat myself on that. But before we jump into the Bitcoin chart and I show you guys what I'm personally expecting in the short term, I'm going to talk about when this bull market could potentially end. And this is just my opinion. I'm going to be sharing a whole lot of different views on it, how they correlate with each other, and then, well, of course, the a lot of guesses on if this bear market is going to be much different than the previous ones. I'm going to share my opinions on that as well. So just remember, guys, everything I say is just what I'm looking at, what I'm expecting personally, how I'm managing my charts. I recommend everyone please do your own due diligence and just use this as more of an entertainment video at the end of the day, right? But basically, we're gonna jump into it. Um, there is a lot of speculation of okay, well, there is a lot of adoption in Bitcoin, like serious adoption, like from institutions, and will that create a more shallow bear market? Well, you guys got to remember too, there if you look at just pie charts like these live pie charts all over the internet, you guys can look it up. But institutions actually, if you look at it, well, let's say a lot of the retail, um, you know, becomes fearful and starts selling. Well, at the end of the day, alone institutions, no matter how much they have right now, won't even, if they refuse to sell, it won't actually hold the price up that much whatsoever. We can still see well past 50% decline within, like, let's say a 2 year time frame of a bear market. And then there's also the other speculation of like, okay, well, what about these rate cuts, right? Well, let's just say this, right? We can see a very odd, massive fake out. Let's just say rate cuts get delayed and they happen early next year or whatever. We already started the bear market and they start happening. It can cause a lot of short-term optimism, but at the end of the day, um, I don't really think it's going to change anything in the bigger picture. It will just be very good to see that happen, and for sure, like it will be a great idea to DCA throughout this bear market, no matter if we see a massive pump due to a potential rate cut. And then there's also what if the rate cuts happen this year and we see a delayed bear market. Well, in my opinion, it won't be delayed that much because these rate cuts will cause a lot of short term optimism. We can see massive pumps and then quick sell offs if we already saw all we're gonna see in the bull market. But here's the thing, right? At the end of the day, the anticipation for these rate cuts are still holding the price up strongly. And we haven't seen any major weakness, right? So I'm just gonna jump into the chart and actually break down what I'm looking at right now. So, oh, real quick as well, if we do, like, there's a few ways of how I'm personally looking at a potential end of the bull market, and that is if you guys been watching since last year, I've had this like big mass, like just big picture extension area up here going from 114.5 all the way up to 150. And if you guys been watching since, like, I don't know, like a month ago, I said we finally broke up into it. I wouldn't be surprised if we see weakness dipping below it before we could potentially hit the next extension at 1.236, which is $128,000. These extension areas, in my opinion, if there's enough momentum to reach into it, there's enough momentum to eventually at least pass the second one. And we've seen this happen so many times before. We don't always see extension areas, smaller picture, bigger picture, it doesn't matter, always extend to the upside, but they tend to always, at least from what I've seen personally and how I personally, adjust these extension areas, we usually see some momentum and fluctuations within the median area between the 1.236 and the 1.38. So, and we still have that. And if you guys have been watching for a while too, and if you just look at the chart right now, every pump, uh, every correction that happens afterwards are always, not very significant when it comes to the previous swing low. they do not break bigger picture retracements. And we're seeing that now as well, where we saw another pump and then a retracement that didn't, have any significant dips below. If you guys also noticed on previous videos when I explained how I did it, using these fluctuations right here, it gave us this extension area for bearish support before we can go up higher. And we actually went into it perfectly. There wasn't a whole lot of weakness. The price recovered very quickly. This bull market is still very much alive, and we can just say that it could just be due to we're still kind of far away from the end of the year. Technically, it's only the 8th month, and we can still see maybe September, maybe October, um, till we see the end of the bull market, right? Pushing it to the holidays, even possibly as well. But at the end of the day, as long as we're not seeing major support areas broken, like right now, the next major support area just for this uptrend is still down here, right? Because if you guys remember in previous videos, we never broke this. The moment we break bigger retracement, so this is actually a bigger retracement. If we break below 90K, there's a good chance that the bear market could be starting if we break below 90K. But the thing is too, like if it does break below 90K, like I'm personally gonna be DCAing constantly throughout the entire bear market, because then the next bull market, like we can see, incredible price appreciation, just like we saw, this year and in 2024 as well. But as of right now, because in the previous dip, the previous correction, we never got a chance to break the 0.5 retracement at 110,000. It's very, very possible that, well, right now we can be seeing just a bigger picture 3-wave correction for those of you that like Elliott waves. What I mean by that is we had enough momentum to find support within this area, so it reached it before it went up higher, but it never broke the 0.5. And if you guys have been watching for a while, you know how I feel about those 0.5s. I really like to see these broken, and we haven't really seen bigger picture 0.5 retracements broken in a while. So this just could be like an optimism wave higher, creating a new high, and then we see like this fearful dip coming down potentially. And I used this structure right here to get this down here. Using this structure, keeping an eye on the previous swing low, and then of course using the current move down. We have overlapping support areas, right? Retracement and extension. So basically what this means is like, hey, with at least what we've seen so far, there is momentum to potentially bring the price down, actually break 110, maybe even find support somewhere between like 107 and 108,000. It's very much possible. It doesn't have to, but if it does come down and break 110, even if it's briefly, it allows the previous support 0.5 retracement at 110.7K to actually be filled, and this will be really, really good. So it really depends how I feel, because if you guys have been watching for a while now, I'll show the position again throughout this trading week. Maybe tomorrow, we'll see, but nothing has changed. It's still 75,000 invested into BitU. There is the possibility of the price going up into a simple retracement before we go down lower. So this is the current resistance. My eyes are very much still at 128K. I have no reason to think that we're done and we're not going to go any higher. I still have confidence that we'll go higher again, due to the structures aren't very weak. They're not really showing any weakness right now. We've been holding. I mean, if this bear market did start already, like, we would have probably seen the price keep dropping lower, just because, this simple retracement in yellow from this move right here, we've been holding it very, very well. And it doesn't mean that we won't break below. I mean, we can easily break below this and just come down into this little bit of a deeper value accumulation area around 110 before we pump up higher. That's completely fine as well. This is just a smaller picture retracement, and this will be the bigger picture. We don't have to come down here, but if we do, we can either go now or we can go up. There's potential resistance because we have a value gap right here. We can even break past this area briefly because we have another value gap right here as well. But the idea is that as the price trends higher and actually hits the blue, I'll be following it with another simple retracement. The purpose of that would just be to, let's just say the price goes up to 120. The idea there would be if it for some reason finds support below the 0.5 retracement at 120.7k, then what I'm looking for, wrong tool. What I'm looking for is, am I doing this right? Jeez. Okay. Okay. So find resistance, come down, try to find support within a retracement wherever it falls out when the price finally goes up higher. And then, we can continue fluctuating higher and go up to 128k. And risk management is very important. So like my position sizings as I open new long positions will decrease. I want to open smaller positions as we break up higher, potentially higher within this green area, because I mean, by the time we break up higher, by the time we even break 128k, it can happen start of like next month or even at the end of this month, because we still have a potential bigger picture support to keep an eye on. But by the time we break up into this area, like we can see quick rejections because we're very much nearing the end of the bull market, at least, right? And then from there, the moment we break down lower and break below 100k, then that's when I want to start DCAing all the way down, however low it goes, and just keep racking up exposure to it until the next bull market starts, right? So the thing is, right now, like again, I'm still looking for 128k, but there's a few ways this can play out. We can either break up directly. We have not just retracement resistance, but we have two value gaps to keep an eye on. And then as we break up higher using structures to give us an extension area to see if it even overlaps with 128k, right? Because this one didn't. I used previous structures to give this resistance area, and it held very, very nicely. So with that being said, like we're in this new downtrend. The idea is that the price can potentially come down lower to finally fill this previous 0.5 that wasn't filled around 110k. So we can either go down to it, or we can go up into resistance, which will allow a proper smaller correction within this downtrend before we have a one more low. It can look very similar to this, where like we came down, everyone thought it was done, but we still had support lower, so it just created one more low. So we can see something like that right here. So pump up, everyone thinks it's done, but we haven't reached support, so just one more low to finally break into this area, and then we're good. Or just go directly. Now, of course, the other thing that can happen, and if this happens, that's fine. I'm not, I have a long position, so I'm not gonna like argue about the prices pumping up like crazy. But we can just break past this area, or even consolidate briefly in it, and just break past it and go to the next target area. That's completely possible as well. But until we start breaking, major support areas, which is, again, for me, this is 92.9k, but I'm just gonna say 90k because I don't actually think I updated. I don't think I did. Did I? Oh, look, I didn't even update it. So there you go. Okay. So now it says 93.6, but I'm just gonna say 90k. If it breaks below that, then, well, at that point, we're just looking for bigger picture extensions for bearish support to potentially accumulate some longs, and then use a simple, bigger picture retracement as a lower high opportunity to, trade off of, and then accumulate shorts, and then just continue all the way down, right? But as of right now, since we don't have that and the structures look very healthy, we still have a lot of optimism in the background for potential rate cuts. I mean, there's just more reasons to be bullish right now than bearish. At least in the short term, very short term, I'm bearish, but I'm still overall bullish for like the next like 2 or 3 months for the most part, right? So yeah, hopefully this video made sense, guys. I'll make more updates on this as Bitcoin continues to fluctuate. We'll look at Mara throughout this week when it finally begins trading, and then I will share with you guys that BitU position once again, either when we're in this area or if we break up higher. I'll share with you guys, and I'll tell you guys if I'm going to add more to it or not. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you.